Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, November 8, 2011 edition of the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Aaron Dykes sitting in for Alex. Frankly, he's worked himself into exhaustion, staying up all night for the past several nights to warn you that a police state's coming. So you better get up and do something about it, because they have prepared this economic disaster, and now they're squeezing the population for every last dollar while they round us up and use their policies to take away private property and more. We have a guest coming up later on that. He's a retired activist who's fighting the FEMA forced insurance in floodplains. That is Keith Haley. He's coming up later in the broadcast, but first, the news. You heard Jesse Ventura earlier on Alex's show. He has been refused in his lawsuit against the TSA. They've declared national security and used stalling tactics to keep him from being able to appeal or get a jury trial, and he's furious. But the only coverage in the media has been trying to brand him as unpatriotic, use things like his seeking dual Mexican citizenship to imply he doesn't like the country. The country was never about the government. It was about the idea that governments are always corrupt, and if we don't protect the rights enshrined in the Constitution, then we don't have a country. And that's what this is about. Let's play some of those Ventura clips right now.
Governor, chin up. We appreciate you taking action. We appreciate you boycotting the airlines and taking a stand for everybody. But Rosa Parks was being made to sit at the back of the bus. Imagine if they were saying, well, we're going to grab your breast and stick our hands down your pants and put you in a microwave oven. This is far more than that. This is a civil rights issue of our Fourth Amendment, of the 10th Amendment, states' rights. I mean, you're a governor. I want you to speak to that. Governor, you've got the floor here. Tell us what's happening.
Well, Alex, thank you. First of all, it seems I'm running into a brick wall with the media. Mainstream media won't discuss the case. They don't think it's relevant at all. In fact, I was due to do CNN yesterday, and I was bumped because, of course, the big trial verdict was coming down in the Michael Jackson case. You know, and so that has more importance. And I said to the person via second person at the CNN, I said, well, I completely understand. After all, mine's simply a constitutional issue. Why would that take preference over, you know, Michael Jackson's verdict on his drug overdose? You know, but that's our pop culture media. Locally, I did a radio show yesterday where the local Guy Williams on WCCO TV or radio in Minnesota equated me to being Kim Kardashian, and that I was doing all this simply for publicity for my television show. This entire court case.
Incredible. You know, I guess my children have never flown, and my wife hasn't flown in 9 years just because of the searching, not much less the groping now. I guess we never get to fly anywhere and visit places because we want publicity as well.
I don't know, you know, but that's what I'm going up in. Excuse my voice, Alex. I'm battling a bit of a sore throat. But that's what I'm going up against in the media, and you're really my only outlet right now. I laughingly kidded you about it last week, but it's actually come true that I think I'm going on.
So there you have it. Ventura says he had a CNN interview canceled. The rest of the media won't address the important issues about his lawsuit over constitutional issues, over the fact that they don't have a right to search everyone in the airport because there could be a terrorist somewhere, sometime. And you've heard him crying out about how the Viper checkpoints are coming to the highways. We're covering that more later in the broadcast. Kurt Nemo has an article. But it's just ridiculous. And when they do cover Ventura, they're only going to focus on the fact that he's a strong personality, that he said controversial things. You've heard him. They will not get into the meat and potatoes of this court case. They're basically blacking it out. They may cover Ventura himself if he makes it a big enough issue. So what is the media covering? We know it's all scripted. We know they hand down talking points. We know the news anchors are told what to say as they cover trivial issues. In this case, they bumped him over the Michael Jackson manslaughter case. We have a clip now from Conan O'Brien that just illustrates how they cover the fluff, the bread and circuses, and how even that is all scripted. Can we go to that clip?
News stations around the country have picked up on this story, and each one is putting its own unique spin on it.
Talk show host Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be able to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope on his late-night television.
Conan O'Brien may be about to push the envelope.
That's enough, but you see they have dozens and dozens and dozens of examples of word-for-word scripted media, and we think we can trust this media. We've been trained to rely on them for news reporting. Obviously, they're only focused on trivial issues, entertainment, and the rest of it. Another example, Detroiters launch a petition against Nickelback halftime show during the precious Detroit Lions Thanksgiving game, saying they don't like the band, they want better entertainment. Where's the outrage about the NFL going along with government-mandated pat-downs, basically being a quasi-government fascist organization? So we've got invasions in the public sector and now more encroachments on our right in the private sector. Meanwhile, the media is totally trained us to just live within our comfort zone, to just kind of be dull and quiet while they take over the whole country. And if you had any doubt about the way they continue to manipulate the news, you need to look no further than what really is the ongoing story of the Ron Paul blackout in the 2012 GOP primary season. There's yet another example in the New York Times. Their November 3rd article, Is Obama Toast?, handicapping the 2012 election. And they've got an accompanying chart where they put Huntsman out front as the most likely to benefit from a slow economy in a race against Obama. Romney's up there, Kaine, Perry, Bachmann. No sign of Ron Paul. Any way you slice it, he's in the top tier of this election, at least the top 4 candidates. They have 5 here. And he's not mentioned in this lengthy article until page 4 when they come up with the manufactured extremism score, putting Ron Paul at 96% extreme, profiling his supposed supporters and their estimation at the New York Times of his ideological principles, really just promoting the center, left of center, and slightly right of center candidates who all support the establishment. Continued blackout of Ron Paul. It's no surprise, but we've covered it extensively, and you need to look into it and wake up to the fact that we don't have elections, we don't have media, and we're really in a lot of trouble. Furthermore, We Are Change Chicago spoke with former press secretary Robert Gibbs, really one of the classic mouthpieces for government tyranny. Real weaselly guy, always covering. You saw him back in 2008 when Obama was caught attending the Bilderberg conference, and the reporters were upset because they were trapped on the plane. He played it off. Well, now We Are Change has talked to Robert Gibbs, asked him about the Federal Reserve, and he says, we have a policy going back decades never to talk about the Federal Reserve at the White House. Doesn't matter how it affects you or your economy. Don't talk about it. Let's play that clip.
The Federal Reserve, I always have a role in the White House. Clarence probably could vouch for this for decades. Don't comment on the Federal Reserve.
Okay, that is not really the best audio, but it's important that people are continuing to confront these officials across the country. And what he said there, if you didn't hear it, was that they have a policy that goes back decades not to talk about the Federal Reserve. Doesn't matter that it's the most important thing to our economy, that they're completely behind this controlled economic collapse. And really, if you haven't caught on, they've really set the net. They're coming after people. They've started rounding up Occupy protesters, kind of an easy pretext, but they've really prepared to manage the population for some time. They've seen the likelihood of economic riots of one kind or another coming, and they're prepared to control this population. But you can't talk about the Federal Reserve, certainly not about people like Ron Paul who want to rein it in or even end it. And other news that isn't covered in the mainstream, we're not perfect here either, but we try to cover as much as we can. Mercola.com is covering how don't buy meat and potatoes or herbs with this label. That is the irradiated food label. You can see it there, the little pink dotted circle around, I guess, what's like an organic plant of some kind. And it goes on to say how the level of gamma radiation used starts at 1 kilogray. That's in your food, including meat, potatoes, herbs, and a whole lot more, equivalent to 16 million some odd chest x-rays, goes all the way up to 30 kilogray, which is 500,000 chest x-rays or 10,000 times a human lethal dose. And through pasteurization and other processes, they really dull our food down, take out the nutritional content, and we wonder why cancer pops up. Yet we can't rein in the FDA. We can't talk about how they just really give a green light fast track for all the GMO foods. They ignore some of the most dangerous additives in the food and food containers. And what are we going to do in this country? Really, that's another important area that we don't cover enough. Now, the Iranian war also continues to heat up. In the same week that you've seen Israel essentially ready to go on a unilateral strike against Iran with expected U.S. backing, you see the manufactured IAEA, Atomic Agency report about to come out. It's already been leaked to the press, really hyping fears about Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities, which any way you look at it is just dredged up nonsense. You saw all the lies and extreme propaganda, including from top cabinet officials during the Iraq war, the lies about yellow cake and mobile weapons labs, and the WMDs themselves. Now the IAEA for Iran is concluding that Iran has upgraded the level of enrichment from 3.5% to below 20%. And they go on to explain how it could be only a matter of days, I believe 60 some odd, till it's a nuclear power. How many other countries have hundreds, thousands of nukes? Russia has definitely thousands. Israel has hundreds. Western Europe has hundreds per country. And yet we now have to supposedly go to war and be totally afraid of Iran because they're on the globalist hit list, and the Obama regime is part of the same program the Bush regime was part of. We have a clip now from Patrick Henningsen giving his breakdown of this breakthrough on this manufactured report.
For Patrick Henningsen, he's editor of the Infowars.com website. Patrick, very good evening to you. Thanks for being on the programme. OK, down to basics, what are the implications of these claims? If they come out, what are they going to be?
Well, the report that's due to come out next week by the International Atomic Energy Agency is basically saying that Iran has reached a stage in its research where this is the precursor to an A-bomb, to an atomic bomb. And what they've done is they've done research into deuteride, nuclear physics, and also neutron physics, okay? And this is meant to be some sort of implicating crime that is going to allow the West to place sanctions on Iran or to have weapons inspectors go in, etc. But this is research that's being done all over the world in a lot of different countries, universities. So if Iran is guilty of doing this level of research, then they'll have to put sanctions on about 100 countries.
Is now a real possibility?
Well, I think this week we've seen the UK come out openly in public to say that there are plans for an attack on Iran. Israel has done missile tests as well on a interballistic missile that has nuclear warhead capabilities. And the U.S.'s policy is well known. The hawks in Washington, led by Hillary Clinton and the State Department and the neoconservatives, have wanted to have a preemptive strike on Iran for way back as early as 2004. So this is not new news.
Interesting line as well. Only today, in fact, a senior U.S. military official saying that the U.S. is worried that Israel might go it alone, indeed, and attack Iran without warning. I mean, it begs the question, has Tel Aviv really become such a proverbial loose cannon?
Well, the leak that allegedly came out of either Shin Bet or Mossad, that there were already operational plans to have a preemptive strike against Iran from Israel, that was leaked out. Benjamin Netanyahu was absolutely flabbergasted, and the Likud hardline were really upset about this leak. But thank God, and I tip my hat to these people in Israel who did leak this information, because it's absolute madness. If you look at the geopolitical situation right now in the region, an attack on Iran is going to basically put gasoline on a fire that has already reached incredible temperatures. So it's not something that we can afford.
And so that's just part of the report for Russia Today that Patrick Henningsen, one of our Infowars.com writers, gave. But any way you slice it, the globalists know that people who research foreign policy and pay attention, they know this is a manufactured thing just to provocate war with Iran. This is, again, meant for the general public who swallowed lies about Gaddafi, who swallowed lies about Saddam Hussein, bin Laden, and all the rest of it to just cheerlead once again for a war that will absolutely destroy what's left of our republic. Now, coming up, we have the guest on the forced mandate for FEMA flood insurance. That is Keith Haley. You thought it was just stuff like health insurance. No, it's going to be all across the board in your life and a whole lot more. Police state news, how they're using these protests now increasingly as an excuse to clamp down and use rubber bullets and the rest of it. Now, PrisonPlanet.tv, you've seen how much we've done with the Infowars Nightly News. You've seen the free Money Bomb broadcast that we put out only a few days ago. You've seen the special reports and the other stuff. Now you have a chance to try it, a 15-day free trial, 15-day free trial until the end of November. So check it out for yourself, what PrisonPlanet.tv has to offer. It's already a low cost and a really powerful tool in fighting this.